should do to say he's done it all.
He won that championship. That was it.
Everything. He's done everything. He's scored a lot in assists.
The only thing that can cap off his career is becoming Mr. Basketball.
So why is it that when I watch Juwan Odom, did I feel like he's the best player? Every time I watch Juwan Odom play, I feel like I'm seeing something special. Like I'm seeing something that I'm not gonna maybe not see again. I said that for a long time. BJ Boston was my favorite high school player in Georgia. I don't get that feeling that I'm seeing something I'll never see again.
Hey man, I hate the way that I say everything, dog. Why do I like? I have no idea why I said that like that. We're in a passionate conversation about Sharif Cooper on that intro, and I was wrong again. So every day, people say I don't admit when I'm wrong, but every time that intro plays, it shows how wrong I am. Like, I still think Juwan Odom is a super special player. I do. I think he's extremely gifted. But BJ and Sharif are in the league.
But is that not to say, and I know we're getting off topic here, is that not to say DeJuan won't be in the league in another 1 or 2 years?
It could very well happen.
Exactly. So then it becomes, okay, what's one of our famous sayings for a lot of these kids? Like, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
That's true.
If he takes 2 or 3 years and he goes to the league and he fits on a team that gives him a great fit, we won't even be having this discussion, because let's say he becomes an all-star or sixth man of the year or whatever his, role will be in the league.
Everybody got to run their own race.
Exactly. It's just that BJ and Sharif got there earlier. And we could say the same thing about a bunch of kids that, that peak early. So it's hard to say. Right now, it's hard to say.
But I think I was wrong.
You can't say you're wrong yet.
I think I was wrong.
You can't say you're wrong yet. If we're going by right now, yeah. But we got to wait to see how DeJuan turns out in 2 years.
At what point do I cross the line of being able to say definitively that I was wrong?
By his junior or senior year, we'll know.
I think DeJuan's a special talent.
He is.
He's
absolutely
incredible athlete. We're here to talk about Juco basketball, though. But
exactly, before we get off topic and we go on here for 3 hours.
Every time I watch that, though, like, it just reminds me of that. I don't know. Bryson Locke don't bring it up, so I'm cool.
Hey, man, we were out at West Georgia. Shout out to Corey Black. Another great event. That's why Corey throws some of the top events in the country. Juco and Post-Grad Showcase. We got a lot to talk about, bro.
We do. 4 courts, slam packed. I'm showing the schedule right now. The CB Hoops, Juco Jamboree, out at University of West Georgia. Tremendous, man. I don't think people understand how nice of a facility that is at West Georgia University.
Hey, man,
nice gym.
We look at tweets all the time, and there's some tweets flying around where people talk about some of the best D2 facilities, and if you compare that to some, and it's no knock to some D1 facilities, some of those facilities are better than D1 facilities. West Georgia's one of them.
100%. And it's a really nice campus, too. Surrounding campus is really nice.
That was my first time out there. I liked it.
I've been a couple of times because I watched one of our AAU kids. I watched Josh Guilford. Shout out to Josh. Get healthy, get well soon. I think he's doing well. But watch Josh out there playing in the Final Four, willing his team to victory out there at West Georgia. So for Heritage. I think I watched him win one and lose one. I think he lost one at the buzzer against Tucker at University of West Georgia. And that was
Okay.
one of my first times being out there. But a beautiful campus. I don't get to Carrollton often. Typically, when I get to Carrollton, it's because GHSA was having a round of the tournament at West Georgia. They typically use West Georgia for one of the region playoffs. And so I get a chance to go out there a couple times. But for the kids that are listening, West Georgia is definitely one of those schools that has comparable
Excellent
facilities
facilities.
to a
Yes.
Division One school, better than some D1s. We won't go call out names, but like West Georgia falls right in line with what we said about Augusta University, about what we said with North Georgia University. Like those are best in class facilities, right?
And they're not in a bad conference. They're in the Gulf South Conference. It's not a bad conference at all.
And I will say this: you don't build arenas that big to sit empty.
Absolutely.
So when you build an arena that big, that tells me that they have fans coming to see them play as
Yeah.
well. So, but shout out to West Georgia for hosting. It's an absolute great event. We saw some of their guys there working the event. We were treated wonderfully
Yes.
by the staff and everybody in Wyandotte, West Georgia. But a first class event for Corey Black. We come to expect nothing less from any CB Southern Hoops Report JUCO events.
Shout out, CB. Shout out.
For sure. A lot of competition. Like we said, 4 courts. It was hard. I will say this. I won't say it was hard to catch up on all the action because of how the courts were arranged. It
Correct.
was actually not bad. Like you could kind of watch 3 courts at a time pretty easy,
Yeah.
right? Depending on where you were standing, you could watch 3 of the 4 courts. So it wasn't hard to catch multiple games at a time on this one. So you didn't get that feel, right? Sometimes we go, and I'm flashing the schedule up again for people to see, but sometimes we go to events D where like everybody migrates to one court or the other, and it's almost like some of the other courts are just completely empty. But we didn't get that feel this weekend.
Nah, not at all. The action was right on you, and like you said, there was times where I could watch 3 games at once. Absolutely.
For sure. A lot of good teams involved, a lot of talent on the floor, a lot of college coaches walking around from all levels.
Man, what'd you say? About 50 to 60 coaches were there easily?
Easy.
Yeah.
I saw some NAIA, some
Yeah.
D2s, some Division Ones. I
Yes,
saw
sir.
and from multiple levels of Division One too. Some mids. I saw some guys that were looking to win their league this year and make a run in the big dance out there.
And I like that, man. That was respect, man, to all the coaches. Like I said, we already said we gave Corey his flowers on running a first class event, but we all know your event is judged on if coaches are coming. We can always say they're watching on live stream, but we can't really say those numbers or we can't really see who's there. But when they're there in our face, there's nothing to be said, and they were there.
For sure. I won't, call out anybody, in public, but I saw multiple HBCUs from different levels, Division One all the way to NAIA. I saw, like I said, I saw multiple D2s personally, spoke to them, saw them there.
Yep.
I saw multiple mid majors. I saw, like we said, a couple of guys that, expect to make the NCAA tournament this year.
Yes,
I
sir.
saw a couple of guys looking to get into to fight their way into the top of their conference to make the NCAA tournament this year. So we saw some guys like, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't just oh ho hum, right? As far as the coaches that were there, but when I look at the teams that were participating, then it kind of makes sense as to why the level of coaches were in the building.
Yeah. And like I said, there were some good players there. I mean, they had some good bigs, they had some good guards, they had some explosive guards there. So there were some people that I wasn't familiar with, but then when I left, I was raving about some of them. And I'll tweet out about that later on tonight about some of the notable players that I saw, in my opinion. Now, I didn't get to see every court, so don't come chopping my head off if your kid is not mentioned as a
Nor,
notable
hey,
player.
listen, nor could we film every court.
Exactly.
Like, so we'll get to some highlights. We're gonna show some plays. We're absolutely gonna show some highlights and plays that we captured tonight. Uh, we'll break down about 5 games during the time of this show. But we saw so many games that got played. We just wanted to try to give a kind of a recap. I do want to talk about one thing before we get into the highlights. Um, JUCO basketball as a whole, period. Right? It's a very different game than high school basketball.
Yes, it is.
The physicality, the size, the ability is very different than what a lot of these guys see from a high school basketball standpoint.
Yes.
It's a big adjustment. Like we saw some guys that were really good in high school struggle to make adjustments. Now it's still really early, so I don't think that really says anything, right? It's
At
jamboree
all.
time. Everybody's kind of getting used to. Coaches are getting used to rotations. Like nothing is even set yet. So
But Dre, you just said it. So for a lot of these guys, this is their first time on the court as a collegiate player, collegiate athlete. So, outside of them getting jitters out, outside of them saying, hey, what worked in high school doesn't work now, it's a faster game, it's a stronger game, it's a more athletic game, it's a higher IQ game. And, like I said, what people need to understand with JUCO, a lot of people perceive this as these guys' last chance to
yeah,
get to a 4-year school. So for some of them, this is kill or be killed. You know what I mean?
100%, 100%. You got some guys that are really going and getting
Yeah,
after it early. So I talked to a lot of people that were weighing out their recruitment and hey, trying to figure out like when's the best time for me to commit. I really want to, you know what I mean?
yeah,
I think this school is here. I think they're watching me. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
you kind of feel that even this early. So which can be tough when again this is the first time they've been on a court. I imagine that there's still a lot of work to be done in practice from a coaching standpoint. I'm sure their entire system, offensive system, is not in.
sure.
Pretty sure most of what we saw today from a schematic standpoint was probably pretty vanilla to try to help with that a little bit, but still a great showing from the kids. So
Yeah,
we can start jumping in and breaking down some of these games.
let's do it.
Let's get into first game was Southwest Tennessee versus Snead State. This was a really good game. Got a deep ball there from Snead. Hey man, the big fellas were shooting it. The big fellas were shooting it all weekend. You can't leave them open. These guys are going to make shots. Tip ball out, mid-range jumper. That one is good. B, you're on mute.
I'm
Hey,
sorry.
B,
That was
full
Zadi.
breakdown of these highlights on mute.
that was Zadi Jackson, number 2, that knocked it down. That has it in his hands right now.
Right there, cross-court pass to the corner. Like I said, that was
Darrell, Darrell
eyes.
Jones, Darrell Jones with the knockdown from the corner. Hey man, like Snead looks good, man. I like them. We know it's early, but Snead always has a traditionally strong program, man.
They do, and didn't get the win in this particular contest against Southwest Tennessee, but it was a really good showing, I think, for both groups. I think
Yeah,
Southwest Tennessee came down and got multiple wins this week or this weekend and seemed to kind of have it going, right? Like New coach stalking the sideline for Southwest Tennessee, and but they seem to be moving the ball well, running their stuff, know exactly what they're trying to get to, and were able to execute well all weekend.
Yeah, and for Southwest Tennessee, one of the sleepers that I like for Southwest Tennessee was 24, Areco Gibson. He's a 6'8" sophomore that knocked down one of those shots, man. Another guy I left impressed with, man. I like him. I like him, definitely.
Really good. I like the ball movement from this team.
Yeah,
They seem very unselfish. Doesn't care who scores. They were getting the ball to the right shot. The one thing that I did see that I didn't see from a lot of other teams, they seem to kind of work inside out. They were getting touches inside. The ball was coming back out frequently. They were knocking down shots, running the floor, defending well as a team. So I really like watching them play.
and shout out to the head coach Jared Stevens that came over from FAMU. He was the assistant there, and now he's the head coach at Southwest Tennessee. Man, he got them boys looking pretty good, man.
Kind of helps when you got a D1 guy running your program.
Absolutely,
For sure.
and he's the AD. And shout out, man. He's the head coach and the AD there, man. He's pulling double duty.
That's dope. That's
Yeah.
dope. We're going to get into Southwest Ohio prep and SEC prep. Pretty good game here. It was a back and forth contest. Some players to keep out on the lookout for. We're talking about prep players, right? So not
Yeah.
JUCO players. So maybe a little bit younger. To some degree, these guys deciding to go in prep, trying to give themselves an extra year. Could be a smart move for a lot of kids, especially with COVID and how the recruiter situation is playing out. But this is Southwest Ohio prep and SEC prep. Look at this move right here. Jumper. D, you're on mute again. D, you're on mute.
I don't know what's going on.
I gotta get you to you gotta unmute yourself when these come on, big dog. Listen, but this is what SEC prep was able to do. They were able to play the passing lanes and really get out there defensively.
But the thing is, man, like SEC prep was okay, but I like
athleticism there, little bunnies.
Yeah, I like that. That's Jay Baker rather. That right there is Cameron Crump for Southwest Ohio Prep. But I like Demonte Smith and this kid right here, David Nolan, that just scored. Again, we got Jay Baker with another dunk. Nice athletic prospect. But hey, man, shouts out to Roderick, man, over there at Southwest Ohio Prep, man. That's good guy, man. Definitely a good guy. He's building that program. I think they're headed in the right direction, man. Definitely headed in the right direction.
They look good. They look good. That the big fella running the floor, being able to finish at the rim. He was effective, challenging shots, kind of changing shots and that's one thing you don't see. Guys, in on the inside, you don't always have to block the shot. A lot of times, if you're able to challenge the shot,
alter it, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, it's a big deal for your team. And I think it helped Southwest Ohio Prep a lot in that game. So they were able to pull out the win over SEC Prep.
Yeah, like I said, and you mentioned it earlier. There were NAI and D2 coaches over there taking a look at that game, and I like that. To be honest with you, I like the fact that NAI coaches are there going for theirs. You know, I always hate to hear the term, "Oh, that kid may be above our level." You know, as our man Huff says, let him tell you no, man. You know, Huff is going after. He's going after them thoroughbreds. You know what I'm saying? And I love the fact that NAIs were there trying to, you know, recruit these kids, man. It's long overdue.
I like guys at any level that are going to trust their own eye, but also have a understanding. And when we interviewed Kennesaw State, Coach Abdul Rahim talked about the eye of his assistant coach. He talked about Persian Williams and how vital he was to the program.
Yes.
Because Persian is looking at younger players, right? And being able to project where they're going to end up from a skill standpoint, from a size standpoint, what their body may or may not do based on certain indicators that Persian will have. And even though you're at a JUCO event, most times you go to a JUCO event, you're looking for old guys. We want to get old and stay old, is what you hear coaches say all the time,
Yeah.
right? But having the ability to scout some of these younger players and younger talent and keep an eye on them, you want to get in early. It's a part of being a good recruiter is being able to get in early and get some of these kids.
You know, and that's a great point you brought up, Dre, because I spent some time with Clayton State staff as we were watching some of these games. And, you know, their philosophy pretty much is what you just said. You know, yeah, of course, they want some of the older kids to provide that leadership and be ready made. Sure. But they were also looking for some of those kids that if they have to develop them, they can do that as well. But, you know, as we all know, people are trying to win right now.
100%. Everybody has to win. So,
Mhm.
next on our list was a game that I could not wait to see. This was the game that
Oh,
I had
absolutely.
circled from the very beginning.
And this one had about 30 coaches watching this game.
Daytona State versus Georgia Highlands College. We'll roll the tape, and Dave's not going to forget to unmute himself this time. Here we go.
All right.
Daytona State getting after it, knocking down shots early. Look at big fella.
You know, and
Put him in the
I
spin
like
cycle.
that big fella right there, Johan Crayford from Daytona State. I definitely like the big fella, and that guy right there is probably the player of the camp, in my opinion. Number 3, Dondre Watson. We'll see some more highlights of him. He could go.
This is who kept Georgia Highlands in the game.
Yes, Jordan Brown. Jordan Brown. He's a baller.
Jordan, let's reload. I promise you, this is not the same
Jordan
highlight.
again from deep.
Okay, I'm reloaded.
But you know what? Jordan caught the eye of some coaches, but man, the thing about Daytona, they got some shooters, man. Javi Rodriguez right there, definitely a shooter, man. And they play tough D. Their guards, like I said, they're sound with a nice IQ. They go my man again, Dondre Watson. Coaches, y'all need to get on him if he's not already signed, and he'll probably have a number of offers after this showcase. Dondre again, up, give me that with the left.
Very good showing for that young man. Daytona State all over Georgia Highlands. One thing we mentioned about the Rodriguez kid for Daytona State, who may go a little under the radar. I won't necessarily say under the radar, but he's playing with another big time talent
Yeah.
on the inside there. But Rodriguez was so poised, and his body, right? Like he has the body of a mid-major, high-major kid. He looks the part. Just a big looking guard. He could really shoot it.
Yeah.
Always under control. We saw a lot of guards that were out of control early on, again, because it's early, you have a practice, you're in the flow. He was under control early. It just kind of controlled the pace, controlled the tempo. Him and their point guard together was just a tough tandem. You know, when you don't turn the ball over, you're hard to beat. When you can make shots and you're not turning the ball over, really hard to beat. Daytona was tough.
But you know what? Before we move on, that's why I like Johan Crawford so much. The big fella, number 24, that you liked as well.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
he played under control. He wasn't, you know, just wildly out of control. He took his time with his moves. If it wasn't there, he kicked it out. He resetted his post game. He set picks, rolled to the basket. He rebound. To me, and this where parents and players have to understand, I bet you that kid got a number of looks for the things he did right.
For sure. Off the ball.
Exactly.
100%.
Exactly,
100%.
man. Yeah. And that's why I like that kid, because that's what recruiters are looking for. We need to get out of, oh, we're only looking for the kid that's scoring 30 points a game. That's nonsense. I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah, teams need a shooter, but you also need the Johan Crawfords on your team too to get your players rolling as well. You know what I'm saying? You need that dirty work guy. You need that Dennis Rodman. You need that guy that is going to be that glue guy. Because if you don't, man, when it get tough, you got 5 scorers out there and nobody's doing the dirty work, that's not going to work, guy.
And everybody wants size, right? But can you get quality size? right? I think he's a quality big. He's a big that has feet, that has good hands,
Yeah.
that can run the floor, that can finish above the rim, right? It's one thing if you get a big that's it's one thing to get a guy that's 6'8", 6'9", but if you got hands like feet, it's not going to do you any good, right? This is a kid that has a big frame that you can add even more to an already big frame. And like you
Mhm.
said, D, he was getting it done off the ball, rebounding, running the floor, doing what he needed to do, setting hard screens. He was getting it done. He was a real
Yeah.
active player.
Yeah, and that's like you said, that 6'8", 6'9" range, about what 225, 230. And he got some
Easy.
room to put some muscle on that body. I mean, it's already a big frame, but yeah, trust me, there are going to be people looking for him. Trust me.
Very good game up next. We had MGP versus Mock Valley.
Yeah, Mock Valley surprised a lot of people, man. They definitely surprised a lot of people. I like what I saw. I shout out to Mock Valley out of Chattanooga, man.
For
Post
sure.
grad, liked them, man.
Let's roll the highlights. Mute, D. Mute. Got the three there.
Another good finish. That's Sammy right there. Sammy actually has a couple
Big guys
D1
make
offers.
threes. Big guys make threes. There it is
Yeah,
again. That kid
that's
is
Corey
too
Thomas
young.
again. Definitely a good move right there.
This is a really good
Good
game.
spin. Ooh.
Spin cycle
One.
with the kiss.
But let's not forget Mock Valley. They're tough, man.
Just too
Give me
much
that
kiss
from
right here.
deep.
Reloaded. Too much
Denarian
of that.
Ziegler from deep with the three. Nice little tough prospect right there. I like Mock Valley's actually going to be going out of the Prep South Conference this year for post grad. So there's some good players that are going to be in the Prep South Conference this year. Mock Valley's going to be tough, man, and they're going to be respectable as well. Absolutely.
Very, very tough. I think this was a tough game for MGP because I look at this, if I walking away from this and I'm Tribby, uh, I feel like this is a game I'm supposed to win, right? And I say that not based on what happens on paper, right? I'm saying
Mhm.
that based on how the game played out, right? We got Sammy Pasai, who it's a make or miss game, right? Normally, a lot of those open shots, he's knocking down, and he did in the first game. We're talking about a kid that shoots up. He's probably a 45% three-point shooter normal days and just missed some shots that he would normally make. I think he played well from a point guard position, distributing the ball, defending, right? But missed some shots that he would normally make. When him and Corey Thomas are on,
Oh yeah, they're tough. They're absolutely
it's
tough.
tough, right?
Absolutely. But you got to look at it like this, Dre. We talked about this early. This is what probably MGP's first or second or third game. So they're going to be able, with leadership down as the season gets older, they're going to pull out those wins. And listen, that takes nothing away from Mock Valley. Mock Valley
No,
played tough,
not at all.
absolutely tough. But you see what you're made of in these showcases, then you see what you need to improve on. And that's all. MGP just needs to improve on closing out the game. But that's expected during these showcases in the first weekend of October. Definitely, man.
I think so. It's going to be something to see. MGP is going to be a team that I definitely have to watch. Daquan Riggins is another guy that
Yeah.
didn't necessarily have it going. Didn't play bad, played well, but didn't have it going like we know he can in that game. In that,
And that's going to come, man. That's going to come.
Could be something to be said for Mike Valley's defense. Don't want to take anything away from him, but we've seen those guys perform at a really high level.
I wouldn't put much stock into that right now. Now, if it's January and they're not closing out games, then absolutely, I'd be worried. But now, this is what these showcases are for. You're in front of coaches and you're seeing your deficiencies where you need to get back in the gym and work on it as a team. That's all.
For sure. And we did see Mott Valley being able to hit the deep ball.
Oh
So
yeah.
that last three was yeah.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. That was from pro range right there.
Uh our last game for the night was Gordon State versus Motlow State.
Yeah. Uh huh.
And I'll just roll the tape. D ready for the mute button.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Bro. I'm ready.
God. Here we go.
Deep
I'm
ball.
reloaded.
Yes, sir.
Started off the game with a deep three. Mid range is not dead, by the way.
At all. At
Oh, but
all.
look at this. I'm splitting the double team twice with
Ooh,
the
ooh.
lay.
With the fillet.
This young man is absolutely unconscious today. Oh, that's tough. That's
Pull
tough.
up.
Don't do
Give me
that. Don't do that. We're talking about that's a good back
Good
door.
pass. Definitely
That's a
good
great
pass.
screen.
Off a great
You couldn't
offensive
see it
setup.
on
Give me
camera.
that.
That's a great screen. Motlow is just too tough defensively.
Woo.
Finish your breakfast, young man.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Another 6'10" that made multiple threes in the game. We saw bigs make threes. This is just the way the world is moving now.
Hey, man, listen, like you said, we're moving to, we've always talked about that stretch four, but that stretch four is almost a normality now where, they're stepping out, hitting that 15, 18 footer, even the three, and still being able to post on the block or hit the short corner or hit foul line extended. These guys are very talented now. They're not just, low block only players. Not at all. No, these guys are putting it in the hole and they letting you reach, I teach. You know what I'm saying? You
I'm
step
gonna tell you
back,
something.
it's on.
I think part of it was the knucklehead guards driving the bigs to become more skilled
You
because the
think so?
knucklehead guards won't give them the ball. You're not gonna give me the ball. You know what? You little knucklehead guard. I'm gonna bring it up myself.
Hey, but let's take it another. I mean, Dre, you go to coaches' clinics on a regular basis. Man, these coaches are drawing up some phenomenal plays. And when they're drawing up these plays at these clinics and they're giving this option right here on top of a really good set that they're calling, it's another option that makes it even more dangerous. It's not just the big man's going up there to set a pick. Yeah, he may pick and pop. I mean, he's showing a bunch of things that people, man, 20, 30 years ago, and yeah, there were some guys that could knock down, 15, 20 footer back then. But no, that's the norm now. That is the norm.
Motlow's got a kid that's just too tough to guard as well for this game, right? They were all over Gordon,
Yeah.
and they've got a kid, and I'm trying to remember three if you have him on your list there, D.
Yeah, Jan Kenkela. He's a 6'6" sophomore. And actually, he's almost graduated. I mean, to be honest with you, he's almost graduated. So he's going to be eligible. But man, that guy.
Coaches, I'm gonna tell you something. He's
Yeah.
like that.
I
He's
like
like
him.
that.
I like
He's
him.
like
Definitely.
that. Like he shoots it, he handles it. When you see a kid splitting the double team behind the back, finishing at the rim, like, yo, this is light. Like that's easy. Mid range, long threes, making passes. Like he's like that.
And Dre, you know I'm big on education. Right, he got a 3.5. So at a 3.5, and he's almost, I mean, technically, he could leave in January and get it rocking. You know what I'm saying?
But and I don't think this goes I think this goes understated far too often, right? Like you reminded me earlier, every kid runs their own race.
Yeah.
But we're talking about a kid, every kid goes JUCO for a reason. We all talked about that,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
But you got to highlight the kids that go and take care of business,
Yeah.
right? when you go and you take care of business in the classroom, you take care of business on the floor, you're working hard, you improve your skill, you take care of business in the weight room, you get bigger, faster, stronger, right? Then you come out on the other side of that, and nobody's talking about the fact that you went JUCO or whatever. You know what everybody's talking about? What your potential is at the next level at your 4-year destination. That's what everybody's talking about. And the two kids that everybody came away talking about was the kid from Motlow and the kid from Daytona State.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They've proven that, hey, I came here, I took care of business. Now it's on to the next level for me. And I think both of those kids will play well at the next level as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like I said earlier, Dondre Watson. Hey, man. I mean, I was standing with a number of those coaches where they were like, "Yeah, we're trying to get this guy."
High major athlete.
Yes, there's no ifs, ands,
High
or
major
buts.
athlete.
And I plan on definitely tweeting out about him in a little bit after the show, because when I say that guy's the real deal, he's the real deal. I mean, I'm not going to sit up here and argue anybody and say that there may not be somebody that was comparable today. But for me and what I saw, because again, we didn't see all 4 courts every game, but from
And
what
we
I
didn't
saw,
get to see those two teams match up,
I did.
which I would have loved to see.
Which teams?
Motlow and Daytona.
Oh, no. But man, Daytona had a nice schedule, Dre.
They did.
Yeah,
I wanted to see those after that game, though. I wanted to see those two teams match up.
Oh, well, hopefully over the next 2 weekends for them. Well, no, Daytona's. I know they're going to be playing in the Tallahassee Jamboree. They'll definitely be playing in that. So, like I said, to be honest, Dre, I would be willing to wager within the next week to 2 weeks.
We're going to get it.
We're going to be posting Dondre and how many offers he has in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That's for sure.
We're going to post that. I mean, I'll be in Oklahoma City tomorrow, and I mean, some of the standards I see in the showcase, it's going to be compared to him, at that position. That dude is the real deal. He's the real deal. And, shouts out to Daytona State. You and I have both been fortunate enough to go down there and visit. They have a beautiful facility. They have a beautiful campus. And they're, as we say, as crazy as this may sound, they're a traditional power on a yearly basis. That Daytona coming out of that Florida Juco League, they're tough every year.
Now, I do want to talk about it as we get ready to close. There were a couple of games like the SC Salk versus Georgia Highlands.
Yeah, that was a good game. That was a good game.
Let's talk about those games closing out. Now, I had to leave a little bit early to set up the video, but you were able to catch that game.
Yeah. Salk is not bad. Salk is, they're under second-year coach Mayo. Their previous coach went to another JUCO. But no, Salk is, if Salk can put it together, and again, it's early. Salk was just like the other JUCO that we talked about, where they got to close out games. They were right there with Georgia Highlands, but they got to close out the game.
That's tough.
Yeah. Another one with 20 plus coaches watching that game, because there was some high level talent there.
Georgia Highlands has a massive human being that is manning the 5 position for them.
Yes, he is. Man, I looked at him like when he first walked in, I started to ask, who's your son?
He is, listen, for coaches that are looking for size, I won't say anything. Go to Georgia Highlands. He is a mat, and he moves better than, still developing as a big, but he moves a lot better than what you think that he's gonna move, and he is massive.
You're talking about Uban Oken, the 7', 230 guy.
I just didn't want to butcher his name.
He's massive. Like I said, and not only that, like, a lot of times when we see bigs like that, they may be thin or they may be this. No, that guy is put together. He's put together.
And my thing is, he's put together, and he can run.
Yes, he can.
Right? Now, is he still developing as a big? Am I saying that he's out here jump hooking and, up and under all that stuff? Not yet.
And when he does, well, you know what?
But he has some tools that you can't teach because he is that size. He's that big and he has a lean frame. He's not
Yes.
pot belly big, right?
No.
He is
He looked like a
hulking
wide
big.
receiver, just big. He got
Big.
that wide receiver build.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he can run.
Yeah.
So when I see that, not that Georgia House doesn't have other talent, of course they do.
Oh,
They have a lot of
that's
them.
yearly
They're a
too. Yeah.
loaded team, right?
Yes.
But that is a kid that stood out to me that said, "Uh-oh, you better watch this one. If you get him in the gym for a summer and it's left hand hook, right hand hook,
Up and
left hand
under.
hook, right hand hook, up and under, and all he needs is 3 moves."
Yep.
And he's going to come in and help you win games. 3 moves, he's going to come in and help you win games.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. And Dre, there's one other thing. And again, we're going to touch this again. He's a 3.4 student and he got 45 credits under his belt already, bro. So, and again, if I'm a recruiter, I'm looking at this because unfortunately, yes, there are some of these prospects that'll be at these showcases that are lights out, but they're not going to be able to move on to 4-year schools for reasons that we know. And unfortunately, it's when you don't take care of business in the classroom, it's unfortunate. That's why, shout out to Corey, where he gives us all this information of where these kids stand academically as well. So, because, man, you're giving out a scholarship from anywhere from $30,000 to $80,000. And if you're not taking care of business, coaches are not going to want to waste that scholarship on somebody that's not serious.
More importantly, too, hey, listen, you want to take a wife on vacation again? You better not get fired. You better not recruit a guy to get you fired.
Yeah, that's true.
Listen, you better be able to help you win, and you better be able to get it done in the classroom because he can't help you win being ineligible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, unfortunately, yes, some kids do turn around that, have it tough. But if you're ineligible in Juco, more than likely you're going to struggle in a 4-year school as well. And that's just the reality of it. So to me, when you see somebody of massive or talented like Dondre Watson, the next thing everybody does is, okay, what's his grades look like? Because you're excited, but just before you get overly excited, okay, is he going to be able to be eligible in 1 or 2 years?
I take it back to what Coach Abdul Rahim said. He said, I've never seen a great player that didn't give effort in the classroom.
Absolutely.
Right? And it didn't mean he's a straight A student or he's an honor roll student. Effort in the classroom.
And he's given effort to stay eligible because he wants it.
100%.
The days of I'm the man and they're going to make this happen for me are over.
No more Prop 48, man.
Yeah.
Listen, I grew up in that time.
Yeah,
I can name Prop
absolutely.
48 guys. No more Prop 48, man.
Mm-hmm.
That rule doesn't exist anymore.
And, it doesn't exist. There are some gray areas to get around it, but it's not like when we were coming through.
100%.
Yeah.
Spell basketball.
And now
Okay,
coaches
cool.
are just moving on. Coaches are just moving on now. They're like, hey, the talent pool, the transfer portal.
They got an APR to worry about.
Yeah. Most importantly, the APR. And
APR to worry about, man. Can't deal with that.
And that APR, let it be a couple times. It's not, and you get some scholarship reductions or you're ineligible for the postseason and you're affecting that school's money. What do you just say? You're not taking your wife on that vacation.
She ain't getting them red bottoms, dog. She ain't getting them red bottoms, and you're going to be looking for a job.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. Hey, man, you know what? This won't be the last time we do this, man. I enjoyed Corey's event. let's go ahead and do some more showcases and, you know, talk about some of these guys that are, trying to make it, man. You know, yeah, I know once we get off of this, look, I got to get ready because I'm going to Oklahoma City tomorrow, and then I'll be in Dallas for Jerry Mullins' event next weekend. I'm loving this, man. This is a big platform, and we need to continue doing this, bro.
You got Oklahoma City tomorrow, and I'll be at Hiram High School for freshman U.
Okay, yes,
So
sir.
I'll be getting a first glance or up close and personal look at all the 2025s here in the state of Georgia. Freshman U Camp, one of the biggest freshman events in the country. Always good to see the stars of stars, be able to see who is up next in the state of Georgia. So be sure if you're not out there in Oklahoma City, be sure to check out the Love of the Game podcast network, and we'll have coverage on the freshman U as well.
Absolutely.
Hey man, appreciate you guys kicking it with us, man. Well, make sure that you log in and take a look at Twitter. Dave, matter of fact, make sure you tell them how they can follow you on Twitter.
You can follow me at Hoops Hitting Gems, HOOPSHIDDEN GEMS. That's Hoops Hitting Gems. I'll be tweeting out about some of the guys we were talking about tonight. I'll also be tweeting out about some of the notable players that I saw on some of the courts that, some of the coaches need to keep an eye on because, man, there was some great talent there. And again, man, shout out to C Black, man. He killed it. He killed it, man.
100%, man. Appreciate y'all kicking it with us. Love you guys, and we're out.